Mace Windu was one of the most powerful, if not debatably the most powerful Jedi of his generation, being pronounced by Yoda himself as the Master of the Order, as Yoda held on to the title of Grand Master of the Jedi Order. Yoda and Mace Windu split their responsibilities over the course of the Clone War. Beyond Mace Windu's esteem within the Jedi Order, Yoda knew just how powerful Mace Windu truly was. He was a pioneer of his own Form 7 lightsaber combat and Vapad, being the only individual in all of Star Wars lore to ever master Vapad fully. It was even rumored that by the end of the Clone Wars conflict, Mace Windu had eclipsed the power of Dooku, with Dooku and Mace Windu being prior rivals to Dooku's fall and embrace of the dark side of the Force. Something that was true about Mace Windu is that he loved the Republic more than anything else, and that he was willing to die for it. Out of all of the Jedi, Mace Windu was the second most prominent member of the entire Order. He held the seat on the Jedi Council for the entirety of the Clone War, and was even pronounced in charge of military tactics of the Jedi Order during the war itself. He was also considered by some to have eclipsed the power of Yoda himself, and was second in line for the rank of Grand Master of the Jedi. Windu had proven himself time and time again. Anakin Skywalker even held great respect, if not resentment, for the Master, and Anakin also regarded him as the most powerful lightsaber combatant of his era, even admitting that for a large majority of his career, Mace Windu was a better duelist than Anakin himself, believing within his heart that Mace Windu was a better lightsaber wielder than even Yoda. So, what was the thoughts on Mace Windu's death, and Yoda's perception of Mace Windu's death, as well as Obi-Wan during the events of Revenge of the Sith? How did Obi-Wan and Yoda react to the death of such a prominent Jedi Master, and the most powerful of their order? Well, acolytes of the galaxy and students of the Force, let's discuss that today, and discuss exactly why Yoda and Obi-Wan did not have a major reaction to Mace Windu's death, despite him potentially being the most powerful Jedi at the time. Many members of the Star Wars fanbase have asked why Yoda and Obi-Wan did not directly seek out Mace Windu after the events of Order 66, and did not look for Mace Windu's body, as many fans believe that Mace Windu actually survived his duel with Palpatine and may have actually survived his fall, with Mace Windu, if he had survived, undoubtedly being an invaluable asset to the Jedi. The truth of the matter actually comes from the Revenge of the Sith novelization. In the novelization, Yoda does not directly sense the death of Mace Windu, but rather the crumbling of the Jedi Order as a whole as Order 66 is initiated. The death of Master Windu and Order 66 being initiated is only a few minutes apart, and Mace Windu's death essentially marks the beginning of the Great Jedi Purge. What Yoda senses through the Force as Mace Windu and many other Jedi fall is, first off, great sadness. He senses the death of all of the Jedi that he trained, including the likes of Windu, and the complete collapse of his order, as this is the beginning where Yoda decides that he has made a mistake, and that the Sith have returned. Yoda later on states in the Saved novelization that he made a ton of mistakes when conducting the Jedi Order, believing that they fought an enemy that no longer existed in the Sith, stating that the Sith had used the Clone Wars against the Jedi as a weapon, and that the enemy that the Jedi had sought to destroy in the Sith for thousands of years no longer existed, that the Sith had transformed into something new, and that the Jedi were fighting an enemy that was no longer there. Following this though, within Yoda was a mild sense of anger. Yoda was angered when he physically sensed the death of Mace Windu upon all of the deaths of the other Jedi, as the death of Windu marked the beginning of the great and terrible Jedi Purge. However, at the time, Yoda still held hope within himself that Mace Windu may have survived his encounter with Sidious, who they now knew was Emperor Palpatine. However, Yoda's hopes would be crushed when Palpatine addressed the Senate directly. What we see in the Revenge of the Sith film is Palpatine addressing the Senate, stating that the Jedi have turned against him, and that the Jedi made a desperate attempt on his life in order to garner as much favor and power in the galaxy as possible, overthrowing the Chancellor directly in a desperate hope to gain as much power in the galaxy as they could. In Palpatine's scarred address to the Senate, he would state that it was the Jedi's plan all along to begin the Clone War, as the Clone War was basically the machine in which the Jedi would gain complete and utter dominion over the entire galaxy. What is not shown in the Revenge of the Sith film, though, is the proof that Palpatine provided to the Senate, that being a recording of the events. However, of course, this is an audio recording and did not record any of the digital information that occurred, meaning that when Darth Sidious drew his blade against the Jedi, this was not caught on the tape. and the Senate was unaware that Darth Sidious and Palpatine were one and the same. However, what it did catch was the voice of Mace Windu, and the second that Yoda heard the voice of Mace Windu, he knew that his old friend was now dead. Darth Sidious hated Mace Windu personally, and therefore he painted him as the direct enemy of the entire Republic. More than anything else, he hated Windu, and therefore he painted out Yoda to be an old and a senile fool who had been corrupted by the order of Mace Windu and the Jedi, stating that it was Mace Windu who had the plan of the Clone Wars and for the Jedi to garner as much power as possible as quickly as possible. It was the moment that Yoda heard the voice of Mace Windu ordering for Chancellor Palpatine to be arrested that he knew that he was dead. But more than this, Yoda began to know that the Jedi were in trouble. What's most terrifying about this is at the time, Yoda did not know the details of Mace Windu's death, simply that he was in the galaxy no longer, and that there was something terrible going on. Yoda did not know the true power or the true reach of Darth Sidious and Emperor Palpatine, and he would not know the true power until their final climactic duel in the Senate chamber. All Darth Sidious knew is that quite possibly the most powerful member of the Jedi Order was now dead and gone. What's interesting about this moment though, is though Yoda was disheartened by the death of Mace Windu, he still held the belief within himself that he could conquer Darth Sidious and his brand new empire. This shows the arrogance and the hubris of the Jedi at the time, that even after the death of somebody that quite possibly would have been a more skilled warrior than Yoda, Yoda still believed that he could overthrow Palpatine and the brand new regime that he was establishing. Yoda still believed that he had a chance against Sidious, even though he was utterly incorrect. And it took the duel that he had with Darth Sidious in the Senate chamber to finally come to the realization that the time of the Jedi was over. What's interesting about this, and that the Revenge of the Sith novelization explains, is that even after hearing about the death of Mace Windu, Yoda still had hope that the Jedi would be triumphant over the likes of the Sith. But it was only after Yoda faced the darkness firsthand that he realized the dark and terrible truth, that even the Grand Master of the Order, despite how powerful he had been, was no match for what the Sith had been preparing for thousands of years to achieve. And it is only here that he held true fear after the death of Mace Windu, and a newfound respect for the new regime that was the Sith and the Empire. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on the surprising reaction that Yoda had to Mace Windu's death? How do you feel about Yoda's arrogance even after the death of Mace Windu was reported? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. Hit that subscribe button, and may the Force be with you. I will hopefully catch you guys in the next video.